John Kelly for the Boxing Channel, alongside Hall of Fame broadcaster Al Bernstein, set for another edition of Hot Topics. Commentary on the latest news and events in the world of boxing. We look ahead in the month of October, Al. Should be an exciting time. Boxing fans should look alive every Saturday in October.
Yeah, it's going to be a great month with big matches featuring big names, some of whom we're going to talk about during this Hot Topics.
Timothy Bradley is one. We'll lead off with Tim Bradley. October 12th, he'll take the ring against Juan Manuel Marquez here in Las Vegas at the Thomas and Mack Center. Should be a fight, interesting fight. It's a closely priced fight from the odds makers here in Las Vegas. Marquez a slight favorite over Bradley. Timothy Bradley, star or superstar?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. You know, I did a lot of his fights as a champion when he was boxing, and I did his fights on Showtime. And I always felt he was on the verge of superstardom. Then, of course, he got his win over Manny Pacquiao, but because most people, me included, didn't think he really won that fight, he didn't get the credit probably that he might have expected. But let me throw a couple caveats out about that fight. He didn't fight that badly, and he had injuries into his legs that really affected his mobility. I would have loved to have seen a completely healthy Tim Bradley in that fight based upon what we saw. But still, clearly that didn't vault him to the superstar status. Then he has this great fight with Ruslan Provodnikov in which it was a different Timothy Bradley in that he brawled more, he showed more power, but he also was hurt on 2 or 3 different occasions. Now, part of that was from the long layoff. This fight with Marquez, to me, is crucial in Tim Bradley being thought of either as a star or a potential superstar. He's just past 30. He's got time to have 4 or 5 really big fights now coming up where he could either vault into that stratosphere or just be known as a good champion.
And what are Bradley's chances against Marquez? I mentioned it's about a pick'em fight. Who do you favor, Bradley or Marquez?
I think Tim Bradley has a really good style to fight Marquez. He's a very clever technician. He doesn't have to pressure, and Marquez likes to counterpunch. And I think Tim Bradley's going to acquit himself very well in this fight. I do think it is a pretty much a pick'em fight, so the folks that are handling the odds, they're understanding, I think, what they're looking at. But the fact is that this is going to be a very close fight. One of the wild cards is Tim Bradley's very worried about the drug testing because, of course, many people believe, and it can't be proven one way or the other, that Marquez may have had some performance-enhancing drugs involved in his win against Pacquiao as his whole body type changed. It's irresponsible to either claim that's true and not knowing whether it is, but clearly Bradley worried about the testing factor so that he's playing on an even field with Marquez.
Bradley, the WBO welterweight title holder. Mike Alvarado is the WBO junior welterweight champion. And let's go from Hot Topic 1, Tim Bradley, to Hot Topic 2, Mike Alvarado. He's 34-1 in his career. He avenged the only loss of his career last March when defeating Brandon Rios at Mandalay Bay. Alvarado's 34-1. He's 33 years old. Is this a case of what you see is what you get, or is there upside from Mike Alvarado?
Yeah, normally, right, John, you wouldn't be asking at age 33 is how good is this fighter. The reason we're asking it about Mike Alvarado is he got a late start in boxing, then took him a long time to get some of the big fights he wanted, and then, of course, he had only the one loss to Rios and beat Rios. He was in a war against Breidis Prescott, and now against Provodnikov gets a chance to further show his ability. With Mike Alvarado at 33, it's kind of still a beginning for him. And even though he's been in some tough matches, I think we can expect 2 or 3 really good fights from him. I think Mike Alvarado is a very good fighter. This is a trap fight, to use the vernacular that, of course, you know the gaming world very well. It's a trap fight in that Provodnikov is a tough one to get past right after you've had these 2 big fights with Rios. But if he gets past this, I think we're going to see Mike Alvarado as really a star in his division.
In a perfect world, Al, what would you say is the prime age for a boxer? I've heard it said in basketball, Kobe Bryant says, age 27, age 28, the prime of an NBA player's career. For boxing, in a perfect world, a guy coming up, what age do you think he peaks?
I think it's not too much different. The late 20s, maybe up to 30. Now, it's a little different for heavyweights. Heavyweights tend to mature and peak later. So for them, it's 30 and the north side of 30 for the most part. But for a lot of these fighters in the lower weight division, They want to be getting to where they're getting to by their late 20s, and then they have a nice 4-year window. So for Alvarado, for instance, it's come later than he expected, but because he got a later start, sometimes the two kind of balance each other out.
And that brings us to hot topic number 3. When is enough? Bernard Hopkins, age 48, will be fighting for the 64th time. Do we need to see more of the executioner? We'll see him at October 26th against Karl Marat. Do we need to see more of Bernard?
Well, that's the question. You know, Marat is a #1 contender, fighter from Europe, who's a good fighter, and we'll see how good he is against Bernard Hopkins, whether he can handle that clever style of Hopkins. Hopkins, amazing in his last fight against Tavoris Cloud. You know, performing at a level that I don't think anyone thought was possible at that age. But he's done this in the past. He's had several fights where we say, oh, okay, we've seen the last of Bernard Hopkins, not effective. And then he surprises us with another good performance. Once you reach 48, you've got to be thinking about the end. And I think that Bernard Hopkins would like to get past this test if he could, then fight Adonis Stevenson, perhaps for a light heavyweight title, and then I think, finally retire. But you can't say that with Bernard Hopkins. You never know. He may be the first fighter to fight with an AARP card. I don't know.
I remember George Foreman. Did he not say famously, if 50 is not a death sentence?
Yeah, that's true. And he fought, you know, a long ways in, but we'll see.
That'll wrap up another edition of Hot Topics. For Al Bernstein, I'm John Kelly reporting for the Boxing Channel.